One authority on the Gwynn Stone itself is Bill O'Brien, graphic artist, amateur archaeologist, and leading member of the Tulsa Archaeological Society.
Yeah.
Okay, you've been to Turkey Mountain, and you told me that you had heard about this, and this is what's called the Gwynn site inscription. Mm-hmm. It's a petroglyph, and it represents, from interpretations or decipherment by Dr. Barry Fell, two languages. The top is Ogham and the bottom is Punic, or the language of the Phoenician and the language of the Celt. Now, in Fell's translation, both of these say the same thing. They say the word Gwyn, which in each language or in language forms means white. So what's unique about this is that you have two distinctly different languages saying the same thing. Punic, which is Phoenician, and this is Ogham, which is Celts. The Celts came from Central Europe. The Phoenicians were out of the Mediterranean. At the period that we're talking about, you're looking at, I believe, pre-Carthaginian. So you're dealing with the first real evolvement of the Phoenician as traders in conjunction working with the Egyptians. We know from history that the Celts were mercenaries to anybody who'd pay the bill, and so the Celts were, you might say, the ground troops or the gun fodder for the Phoenicians and possibly the Egyptians. So what you might have represented here is an expedition to the North American continent that came out of the Mediterranean area that was financed by the Egyptians, executed by the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians brought along the Celts to throw into the problem areas, to do the digging and the hard work, and to stand up against anybody that they were encountered that they might have to fight.
At the University of Tulsa, Professor Mike Whalen of the Anthropology Department was able to offer a different explanation.
You walk around the countryside and you scan rock outcrops for something you can look at and say, ah, that looks like writing to me. And, you know, it might be writing, it might be weathering cracks. The professional archaeologist, on the other hand, would say, wait a minute, if you're going to say that ancient Irish or Carthaginians or Vikings or anybody like that made these scripts, why did they come here? How did they get here? Where are the rest of the remains? The only way that we'll accept to document particular people's presence here in the Americas is if we can find archaeological sites, artifacts, stuff they left behind. All these people are metal-using peoples in the Old World, and there are no native metals in the New World. So the sites ought to be real recognizable. Not one has ever been found.
They dwell on more specific scientific proof, and to date, they have not accepted the criteria of scientific data that Fell and other apocryphers are coming forth with. They want something in conjunction with this. They want to know, they want helmets, they want pottery, they want other physical evidence of these cultures that they were on this continent.
Just because you find something in a script that looks like an Old World script doesn't mean that a person from that time period wrote it. Like I could, for example, go out to Turkey Mountain right now with a hammer and chisel and carve an inscription in Latin or Greek there. You know, I studied Latin when I was in school, so I could work up a sentence in Latin, go out and carve it on the rock there, and if someone else came by and found it, that wouldn't mean that a Roman came there and carved it. It would simply mean that somebody who knew that script carved it. I think this is the case with the inscriptions that are attributed to the Vikings, to the Norsemen.
Did this really happen? Academically in the United States, this doesn't exist as far as being a true petroglyph created by somebody from the period of 500 BC. So really what we're looking at is the opening of the door, another door into the past that allows us to look back, and what it's telling us is there's another story to the evolution of American history that we need to go back and look at.
It's possible that old world people came over here and left these inscriptions and vanished. I couldn't say that it's impossible, but I would say that it's improbable given the fact that the archaeological record of the Americas contains nothing whatsoever.
But the explorers needed a more exact location and another day. What started as an excursion into a curious afternoon outing was threatening to rapidly deteriorate into a mind-altering quest in a realm of madness. The explorers had to find the stone.
Ah, ha, ha.
Well, I see you brought your water this time.
Yeah, I lived down here for 10 years. Lived like no man ought to live.
Why'd you bring the
Lived
water?
off seagulls and prairie dogs. Right up there. That's
Right
where you'll
up
find
there.
the Gwynn Stone, lad.
Oh. I don't think that's it. What do you think? Or we could just keep walking, following the side up there. Or maybe we should go up more, because I don't see... I think we should press on further.
Yeah. Well,
All right, here at the end of this boulder, here's a thing there, because it's really hard to get a scale of how
Starts about
big it is.
right here. Over here, down. That's the first line, and the second line right here.
Yeah.
I.
That's it. All right, to verify, we found Gwynn Stone. Here's a picture of it, taken from a book called America, B.C. There it is. Is that the same thing we just saw?
Yes.
I think it is.
Yes.
So it's hard.
That'll do it.
Got it? Which one's this? First we got.
Okay.
I don't want any ice in my small coat. I just simply told you. So what do? They threw it out. They throw it out rather than pour it into another cup. I mean, that's how they treat us customers here. They charge us and they throw it out. Okay, thanks. Oh, okay.
Ian.
Yes, the Gwynn Stone was there. What does it mean? Is there any real significance to the writing itself? Who existed in this land 1,000 years ago? Were they only Native Americans, or did Europeans pass this way during a forgotten age? How many forgotten cultures rose and fell into obscurity? There are many questions, and often the simple answers really depend on one's own point of view. Despite all the questions, theories, and suppositions, one thing is certain. Our culture, in the realm of things, is just one more in a long line of civilizations that have risen and fell. Our culture will fall eventually. It's only a matter of time, and the land has plenty of time to spare. Like the river, it meanders slowly down the pathway of the future.